All right, excellent, excellent. Let me let everybody in. We got a couple of people waiting. We're going live on YouTube, live on Instagram as well. So this is good. Afternoon, everybody. As everybody's coming in, joining us with Jim Samuelson, who's going to be talking about Shelter Box. We're going to get started in about 30 seconds. There's Nestorine. We got Carrie from the Cayman Islands. We got John who's joining us. That's great. We'll be talking about Shelter Box. And there's Carrie. Excellent, excellent. So good. Well, first of all, Glenn Stein here, Realty Executives in the Villages, also coach for Tom Ferry. I'm here to interview Jim Samuelson, who I've known Jim. How long have I known you, Jim? It's been 10 years at least.
Yeah, 15.
About 15 years. And we're part of a local Rotary Club here in the Ocala, Florida area. And what I've known is Jim has been really dedicated not only to service in the community, but service to Rotary Club. And one of the things that Jim has been involved in is Shelter Box. Right now, Shelter Box is, a lot of people don't know what Shelter Box is, but Shelter Box has been around for a while and really does a lot of good, not only in our community, in our country, but around the world. So Jim, tell us about Shelter Box.
Okay, I can do that. Shelter Box is like Rotary in a way. It's one of those organizations that it's kind of out there. Maybe people have heard about it a little bit, maybe less so with Shelter Box, but certainly Rotary is worldwide as well, with 35,000 individual clubs all around the globe. It does a lot of good. Rotary is just a wonderful organization of business and professional people that is in the forefront for changing the world each and every day. So a lot of people see the Rotary emblem when they drive into your local town, but don't really know what Rotary is really all about and a lot of things that it does. And that might be a topic for other meetings or another conversation, but Rotary is linked to Shelter Box. So it goes in some ways hand in hand. And Shelter Box is an organization that started over 20 years ago. And the focus of Shelter Box is to transform lives after a disaster. And it does that by providing shelter. You got the screen coming up there, Glenn?
There we go. An idea what it looks like.
Yeah, you can see, you can, if you want to make it larger, can you do that with a screen? But we can, whatever works for you there. But Shelter Box provides shelter anywhere in the world after a disaster. And it started by someone seeing a need. It's really an individual success story. There was a gentleman in England that was watching on the TV, on the telly, I guess, as they say over there, but on the telly, and was looking at disaster and said, how do I go in and make a difference with that? So he went out and went to his local hardware store and got a green box and started filling it with supplies that someone might use after a disaster. And that project was identified by his local Rotary Club in England, and the concept was started. And so there you see their kind of green box and some of the supplies that get put into it and shipped out. And so the organization was really started with one individual seeing a need and figuring out a way to address it. And from that modest beginning, the organization grew, and it certainly has evolved over time. And I can explain how the organization has changed to meet the needs of people that are suffering after a disaster around the globe. But from the very beginning until today, Shelter Box is made up of people who believe that shelter is a basic human right. and that out of chaos, whether a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, when shelter is denied or destroyed or taken away, it's really a basic human need that has to be addressed. So that's really the focus of what Shelter Box does. You know,
So Jim,
everything.
how'd you get started in this? I mean, like it was a big jump for you. Like I
Yeah.
for a bit. So how did you get involved, like specifically this?
Well, what happened was, Glenn and I are both past Rotary presidents of our club. And as I was preparing for my year as a Rotary president now, 10 years ago, there was an article in Time magazine about the founder of Shelter Box and how the organization had started. And when I went for my, it's called PETS, our Rotary President-elect training, I met with the local Shelter Box office people here and developed a passion for it. So right then and there, I became a representative for Shelter Box here in Central Florida. Basically going out and telling people about the organization, what it does, the difference it makes around the world, and how individuals and groups can support the need and make a difference by helping Shelter Box.
Now I'm seeing this here, Jim. Like there's a lot of things in this package. Like it's, you say Shelter Box, and actually it's probably not even the appropriate name because you hear Shelter Box, like, okay, this is the box, this green box here, right? Like I've seen it sometimes different colors, but let's talk about what's in it.
What's in it? Yeah. And so the original Shelter Box, the concept is put in supplies that a family, it's up to, we'll supply up to 10 people, everything that you would need to survive if you had lost everything. So if you can imagine, whether you're here in Central Florida, wherever you might be, if a tornado came through, a hurricane, typhoon, whatever it is, destroys everything, you have nothing left, and you're sitting there on the slab of your house, what are the things that you would need in order to survive? So in the full tent that you see, in the full box that you see there, is a tent. And if you actually go to the next slide, you can see a picture of the tent. Is a tent, cooking supplies, blankets, utensils, a basic toolkit, mosquito netting, or more blankets for cold temperatures. Everything that a family would need in order to survive. And the tent itself is extremely durable. It will withstand up to 100-mile-an-hour winds. All of the equipment there that a family receives is also very doable, well-made, high-quality products. So that it's really designed to provide that basic shelter from when you have nothing to what the next phase might be. The basic cost for one of those boxes is about $1,000, and when they're fully loaded and packed, they weigh over, I guess, about 120 pounds. They're really quite heavy when you have them, fully loaded.
The cost has been pretty much the same for a while. Like it's always been kind of around that mark, hasn't it?
Around that amount, yes. But what's changed is the needs have changed a little bit too over the years. And actually, what you're seeing in this slide that Glenn has up is a lot of people say, well, how do you get the materials to the people in need, and what happens? And it's really a couple of ways. One, Shelter Box has trained response team volunteers that are specifically focused on going into a disaster area, and one, developing relationships with local contacts. So whenever there's an event around the globe, whether it's a tsunami, tornado, hurricane, war-torn areas like in Syria, wherever it might be, the first step is to know about it, and then the response team members go on site to assess, is it a situation where Shelter Box can actually make a difference? Can the organization have an impact there? And while they're doing that, they're making contacts with local people. And this is where Rotary comes into play, because especially in third world countries, but really all around the globe, Rotarians are pretty well connected and they are, in many cases, very influential. So those response team members make those local contacts. They also work with other nonprofits. They work with UN agencies, the Red Cross, in assessing and coordinating the needs. So what has evolved and what they do right now is that they try to determine exactly how Shelter Box can help. And we've found over time that sometimes that whole box that you see there filled with all that equipment is not what is going to make a difference for the people that are impacted. Maybe the UN is in there, or the Red Cross is in there supplying tents, and there's a need for, say, tools or tarpaulin or school equipment or hats or gloves. So you can see right here, Shelter Box, as we've evolved, has really transformed itself into be able to customize the approach to the disaster. So we're not duplicating supplies. We're working in concert with other relief organizations that are there supplying just what is needed. A good example was Haiti a couple of years ago, and maybe it's 10 years ago now, with the disaster that happened there. The 10 cities that were provided immediate relief, but over the long haul, they became somewhat of a problem because people were still living in them, years later. So sometimes the tent itself is not always the best, most productive way to make a difference. So as the organization has grown, we've really matured and trying to come up with customizable solutions.
Looks like it's pretty durable, right? Like it looks like obviously they've been using it for years.
Oh yeah,
pretty big too. I mean, you can tell by that picture. How big is it?
It's not. It can support a family of up to 10 people. It's a very sizable, tent, very well made. As a matter of fact, I think was it 2 years ago? I was down in the British Virgin Islands, and I was on a cruise tour thing, and they had suffered the hurricane there about a year before, maybe a year and a half before, and there were Shelter Box tents at the British Virgin Islands. So they hold up amazingly well. And here you can see, the main warehouse is still in England, and the organization maintains lots of contacts so they can move lots of materials when they need to. So, but then this doesn't happen until the situation has been assessed and they know all of that equipment is going to get into the hands of the people that need it, the most. So, it really does make a difference each and every day whenever there is a disaster. And today, there's even deployments all around the globe. Anytime that there is something going on, a Shelter Box is there and assessing it. I mentioned the Haiti earthquake way back when. Even in the U.S. here, this is Hurricane Sandy. A lot of people ask about that. Do we deploy in the United States? The reason, my answer is in a limited way. And the reason for that is here in the United States, when there is a disaster, we can relate to that, being in Florida, there's a tremendous amount of infrastructure. So that when something does occur, there's family nearby, there's hotels nearby, you can travel up the road and to get away from the disaster area. So you might need it for a short period of time, but in the long term, it doesn't really make a huge difference. So Shelter Box does respond here in the States, but where I think it has the most long-term impact is in locations all around the globe. And you can see areas that it's currently deployed. Actually, I was on the website and was looking at the current, most recent deployments here. If I can, let me pull them up. I can give you the list of them. It's really amazing. Right now, you don't even know that some of these areas are having disasters. Let me tell you where they are right now around the globe. Let's see. Just give me a second here. Here we go. In Syria has been an ongoing issue because of the strife there caused by the war and the amount of refugees coming, out of there and then going to Greece and into Europe. But we're still very involved with that. In Somaliland right now, we're engaged currently, and we've been there for a number of years, dealing with drought, lack of food, and war strife going on in that part of the world. Ethiopia currently deployed there, dealing with flooding in Tanzania, for instance. Lake Chad area, we're there, also flooding in Lake Chad part of Africa. In the Philippines, we're currently deployed there. Teams have completed assessments in the Philippines after 3 earthquakes shook an area there in October. Bangladesh currently deployed. Around 600,000 people have entered Bangladesh since August 2017. More continue to arrive each week. So shelter boxes there dealing with that. Paraguay, they're currently flooding. People have lost homes due to flooding. Vanuatu, Burkina Faso, whoever that is, that we're there right now, and in Tanzania as well too. So currently, as we speak, shelter boxes all around the world making a difference for people that have lost their homes as a result of a disaster.
And if you guys have questions, type something in the chat, or you could just unmute yourself by the space bar if you have a question for Jim. How many do you think have been, what's the total number in its history? Do we have some kind of total, like how many shelter boxes?
Wrong number. I was just actually looking for that. It's been hundreds of thousands of people have been impacted for it, for sure. I was actually looking for that most recent number on the website. I didn't see that the exact number, but it has impacted lots and lots of people in so many different ways. Yeah, makes a tremendous difference. And it's all funded. It's not, it's funded by donations. We receive donations from individuals. About half of the money that's received come from individual donations, and there are representatives all around the world, like myself, that go out into the community and explain what Shelter Box is, what it does, and how it makes a difference. The other way that we receive funds is through Rotary International. For those not familiar with Rotary, we have an international foundation that matches funds from the clubs and does amazing things all around the globe. And the Rotary Foundation is extremely selective about, how those funds are used. Are they, is it being done effectively? Is it making a difference? And the foundation partners with Shelter Box. It's a unique relationship. So Rotary International has put its faith and trust in the way Shelter Box is managing the funds that are received. So it's a very well-run, 5-star, rated charity that really uses everything that we raise, effectively to make a difference for people.
So Jim, we've got people that are around the country, even some places around the world that are going to be watching this. What are some of the ways that people can actually get involved with Shelter Box if they're interested, or get some people interested? What would you recommend?
There's a couple of things. One, you can just go to the website. If you just Google Shelter Box USA, I'm on that site right now. There's a lot more information there. There's ways to do individual donations right there. If you have a church, organization, civic group that wants to get involved, you can, if you're here in the Central Florida area, I can help with that. There are representatives all around the state of Florida, I know. But you can contact the Shelter Box USA site, and they will hook individuals up with local representatives that can come out and give presentations and talks and give more specifics. We all have a sample display that we set up. That sometimes it really makes a difference when you see the green box and you see the tent and all the equipment. I've partnered a lot with the local high schools that are high schools are many times receptive because kids want to know about things like this. They want to be able to make a difference, and Shelter Box enables them to get involved and help people all around the globe. I've worked for the past several years with the Air Force ROTC at the Bellevue High School. It's been a really great partnership. So getting involved with schools, community groups, it really, there's a lot of interest in people that want to make a difference in the world. It's certainly a way to do that. And then lastly, if someone really wanted to get engaged, you can volunteer to be a representative. and you can tailor that as much or as little as you want to. I run a home care agency here in Florida, so I'm always busy. But if somebody wants to hear about Shelter Box, I'll go out and do presentations. We'll set up the tent. We'll explain what we do and show them, firsthand the difference that Shelter Box makes.
Well, it goes hand in hand with real estate. Like most of the people that are watching here and are here on Zoom and could be watching this on YouTube and Instagram, most of us are in the real estate industry. So it kind of goes hand in hand. I've known some realtors around the country that give back a portion of their commissions and go directly to Shelter Box. They've done that before. So that's always an option too, right? Like if you can't get involved directly.
Oh yeah, I'd set up regular donations just to do that too. And you don't have to do $1,000 for the box. There's you can even do a fundraise, for a lighting system or blankets or whatever else. You can break it down that way as well too. But a lot of the groups I work with, like, if I raise $1,000, I can send a tent, a whole box. Yep, that's the way to go. And so it's like a goal. They can do that. But yeah, any amount makes a tremendous difference. Yeah, it helps. It's all funded by donations.
Excellent.
That's what makes it work. Yeah.
I love it. So I want to give you a quick plug as well on your business. Why the heck not? Tell me about your business, Jim.
I've been a home instead senior care franchise owner for the past 15 years. We are actually the world's leading provider, the world's largest provider of in-home care for seniors. We have 1,200, 1,300 offices all around the world. Here in Florida, there's about 35 of us, I think. And what we do is we have a team of caregivers that go out every day and work with our clients in the home, help them to stay where they want to be, safe at home, aging in place, as long as they're able to do so. And I'm also happy to report that, not only are we an affordable option for families, we're also a safe option. We keeping all of our clients safe, all of our caregivers safe at home during the current crisis. So we've gone the extra mile to do our best to ensure the safety of our clients, but it enables them to stay at home, to be where they want to be. And it really makes another way to make a difference is, helping our seniors to achieve those goals. So we're an affordable option, we're a safe option, and it's an option that families should consider when they're looking for care for mom and dad.
So I think there's a couple of things that we're doing here. So, one of the purposes is really obviously to expose what Shelter Box does. And I'm also giving my agents in my own office. I've got a couple of people that are on the call that are in my own company at Realty Executives, but also some people that I coach as well. And something I've been advocating is, especially during this time, to really get into the community, expose some things that are in the community, talk about what else is going on besides real estate, while we're going through now, I guess, kind of the phase two. Some people around the country still, or around the world, are in phase one still and still stuck. But this is really good information and content for my people, my tribe, your tribe, everybody's tribe, to actually watch and get to know a little bit more about what's happening. So, Jim, how does somebody find you, by the way, if somebody has questions?
You can always reach me. My email is jim.samuelson, SAMUELSON, @homeinstead.com. Or if you are around the country, you want to learn more about home instead senior care, just homeinstead.com will get you to the main corporate website. If you wanted to see our local site, it's homeinstead.com with a /612. And we try to be resources in the community. So a lot of people, particularly right now, they're unsure about, care for mom and dad. Mom and dad might have had a fall coming out of a rehab, or should they go into assisted living? What should we do? We really try to listen and to offer solutions. And many times it doesn't involve working with us, because every situation is different. But usually for adult children that are maybe now taking responsibility for care for mom and dad, it's usually very confusing. It's overwhelming. Well, who pays for what costs are covered? Who do I speak to? Who do I reach out to? So we try to be a resource for that, to listen and to come up with solutions that help families when they contact us.
Love it.
That's what we've done since day one, and it's been a major part of our business. And it's obviously we're here 15 years later doing it.
Great job. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, I also put a plug in for Rotary. As Glenn and I have been Rotarian. You've been longer than I've been a Rotarian. But for those that are looking for ways to get engaged and to help others and make a difference, the Rotary, we're service above self. We care about other people, but we do good all around the world. And so it's just a way to get engaged. So I want to encourage everybody that if you've never been to a Rotary meeting, or if you've never been involved with Rotary, consider it. Just go when things open up. Go and try to get involved in a Rotary club, making a difference in the local community.
Excellent. I love it. Jim, thank you very much, man. Thanks for coming on today. Very informative.
Yeah.
And
I want to say that Glenn's a good guy. He helped us buy the building we're in today.
that's
8 years.
true. That's right. That's right.
You did a great job. So thank you, Glenn.
I think we have a Rotary social later on today, if I'm not mistaken, by the way.
I can pull out my Belgian beer. We can have one of those together.
Excellent. Jim, thank you very much, man.
All righty. You take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.